The Green Revolution improved agriculture to the point that many more people could be fed. And we're in a situation now, of course, we need to go more into organic because of climate change. And this industrial agriculture is really bad for the soil. We need to rotate crops. We need to recycle, compost, and all these kind of things. And also, we need to decrease the amount of meat eating because that requires much more water and resources, and it also pollutes the air. The livestock that pollutes the air and causes global warming. So, but we're still creating a lot of food. There's enough food on this planet. The amount of food thrown away in the United States could feed all the starving people in the world. And so it's not a question that we don't have enough food for the population. It's a question that we haven't learned how to handle it correctly and share it. This is what we need to do. We need to learn more how to share. And also we need to help these people get the resources they need, like the microloans, for example, to people in India and Africa. Africa is going to need a lot of help. Africa's population is due to double in another generation. And Africa is going to be warmer than the rest of the planet. And so it's going to be a serious problem if we don't handle it in many different ways. Now, for example, in terms of population, what happened in Latin America? A generation ago, the average woman had, or two maybe it was, about 30, 40, 50 years ago, in Latin America, the average woman had 6 or more children, a little over 6 on average. And even though the Pope and the Catholic Church told them not to use contraception, they did start using contraception, and within 20 years, the average woman's number of children was down to 2 point something. So this can happen, and the more educated the people are, the fewer children they feel that they need to have. People that are really poor and are uneducated think, well, I have a lot of children and then they can take care of me. Maybe some of them will survive and take care of me. But it makes them even poorer because they have so many children they're trying to raise. So in Africa, for example, we need to help them develop the agriculture and their resources and their manufacturing so that they can take care of themselves. You know, if you give a person a fish, you're going to be feeding them all the time. But if you teach them how to fish, or teach them how to grow plants, then they can provide for themselves. And that's what we need to do. We need to share our resources.
With it. Okay.
Immigration is a very challenging issue now, and it really bothers a lot of people, apparently. It gave us a really bad president, for one thing, it seems like. And immigration is not a problem that's going to go away. Immigration under global warming is going to get much worse, much worse. And so it's something that we need to really pay a lot of attention to, because as the planet gets hotter, the areas around the equator that are warmer already are going to get too hot to live in practically, and there's not going to be enough water. And so people are going to be climate migrants, and so they're going to be moving north. There's an interesting movie called The Fire This Time, I think it's called, and it was made in like early 1990s, and it takes place in 2017, and it's about a warmer climate and what's happening in the United States, and there's these terrible floods and droughts and things, and the people are trying to move to Canada, and Canada is saying, no, we're not taking any more immigrants, you have to stay out. And so this is the kind of thing that can happen. Germany took in over 1 million people. The German people have done a lot to try to atone for what happened in World War II under Nazism. And so they've tried to reach out and help other people from other cultures. They've taken in a lot of Syrians, for example, from that terrible civil war in Syria. But in the United States, we have a big country. There's a lot of room. We have a lot of resources. It seems to me that we should be helping, especially these refugees that are coming from violent countries, that are fleeing these countries because their lives are in danger and their children are being forced into these gangs and forced into these violent situations. I think we owe it to them in some ways because of what happened in our history, where we took this land from Mexico. The states of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, and part of Colorado, part of Utah, all those states used to be part of Mexico. And the United States took them in the war against Mexico from 1846 to 48. And so it seems to me that it would be kind of like reparations for us to allow Latin Americans into the western part of the United States. And I would be in favor of a very liberal immigration policy. The economy of Mexico is being brought up because of trade with the United States. And the wages are going up. And so that's good, because if you have a situation where, it was like, I don't know what it is now, because I think it's better than it was, but it was at one point, people in the United States were making $10 an hour, and people in Mexico were making $1 an hour. And so, sure, the capitalists are going to want to go to Mexico because they hire people for $1 an hour, and then they can ship their goods to the United States. Well, that's bad in some ways, but in other ways, it's helping Mexico. And if they can then get up and start raising the minimum wage in those other countries too, so that those people can be better off, then they won't feel the need to come to the United States. As a matter of fact, in the last year or two, since Trump has been president, the immigration has slowed down to practically nothing from the Mexican border. There's actually more people going back into Mexico than coming into the United States.